Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Estelle Park, an expert on the Tudors, and in this History Police video, I'm looking at the relationship between Thomas Cromwell and Anne Boleyn before her downfall. There is something very peculiar in the scene that I'm looking at in Warfall Season 1. Actually, I think it's the most cringy scene of the series. In this scene, you can see that Cromwell is looking at Anne Boleyn in a very weird way. They are both, I think that scene sets up at May 1532, and they are in the same side, they are friends. But look how he's looking at her. He is literally obsessed with her, and I found it so cringy. Here he gets closer and closer. He almost desires her. He touches her. I mean, that is so cringy. Oh, gosh. That makes me want to puke. I don't know how you feel, but Cromwell and Anne Boleyn together, not working for me. And here we realize that actually that's not happening. It's in his mind. Isn't it the cringiest scene of all? The fact that there is kind of some attraction between Anne Boleyn and Thomas Cromwell. Is there any truth? I think we will never know. And I think here historical fiction has the right to say that maybe Cromwell fancied Anne Boleyn. That maybe he was attracted to her. Why not, after all? I mean, as I said, it is historical fiction. And though I do like my historical facts to be right, I do appreciate the fiction. I do appreciate the take of a director, of a scripter. And here, why not? It makes me feel very cringy. I don't think that it is accurate. I don't think that Thomas Cromwell was that type of man that would be that way with Anne Boleyn. But I do appreciate and understand that some people might view it that way. Does that make sense? I hope it does make sense. Now, the rest of the scene is very, very interesting. Again, we get into the relationship prior to her downfall. And I think it's so important to watch it and see it, because here it really explained to us that at some point they were allies.
My uncle and I worked for his removal for months without success. And now he resigns over this bill.
There's a great protest.
Here they're talking about the act of supremacy. And it is Thomas More who is resigning as Lord Chancellor. And so here Cromwell said there is lots of protest. And Anne in that show seems to be taking it personally. Was it personal? I do not think so.
England's just a stage to him.
Who should replace him?
Put it in the king's mind to appoint Audley. He's a good man.
Put in the king's mind that he needs to appoint Audley as a good man. Here, we're saying that Cromwell is acknowledging the power and the influence of Anne over the king. That's very interesting. If she had had that much power, there would have been no downfall.
Stands me, I think.
Do you think that someone does?
Here there's banter, which is a bit weird when it comes to Cromwell and Anne Boleyn, but I do like it.
Cranmer as Archbishop. Audley as Lord Chancellor. Soon you'll have friends everywhere.
That line for me shows, and I don't really like the portrayal of Anne Boleyn in Warfall, but here they give her agency, they give her intelligence, they give her the way that she understood how politics worked, and that I think is highly, highly historically accurate.
And for yourself? I thought perhaps Keeper of the Jewel House. Where's the chain of office? He's supposed to hand it over.
So here the chain of office is to show that you're the Lord Chancellor, and Thomas More is about to give it back.
In the bag.
Here you see the hesitation of Henry VIII of taking it back. I think it was not that easy for Henry to have someone who defied his authority, who was saying, I do not want any part of this, of what you're doing, right? I really disagree with you.
So that's it. More is out. Shall we go down?
There's this happiness of Anne Boleyn here around what's happening with Thomas More. There's nothing in the records that she was really happy with what's happening with Thomas More. I think it's very important for you to understand that Thomas More had a problem with the Act of Supremacy, had the problem with Henry VIII calling himself head of the Church of England. He had no problem whatsoever of Henry VIII changing wives. I mean, he was, Thomas More was devoted and loyal to Catherine of Aragon, so I do not think that he thought that he was not close to Anne Boleyn. It's not what I'm saying, they were not friends, he didn't think great things of her, but the problem was not with her, and there is no record of big animosity between Anne Boleyn and Thomas More. So I think here it's important to note that, because here we make her, in that show they make her such an enemy of Thomas More. In other scenes, she's absolutely awful with things she said, like how much she wants him to be scared and and in the end, like, we almost portray her as one of the reasons of his downfall, which is not true. Here, she's gloating and says, "Shall we go down?" They're laughing again together. They're just, it's like a victory of both Cromwell and Anne. Here, it's also important to note that on Thomas Cromwell's perspective, More was someone who was extremely like him, and who would have challenged him. And Thomas Cromwell was someone who was going way more around, towards the Reformed ideas. Thomas More was very, very Catholic, so they would have had a clash. So for Cromwell, that fall was very useful and impactful for his own career and his own growth at the court of Henry VIII.
You can't resist it.
No more can you.
Here they're trying to make that they are kind of very similar, power hungry, and I'm not sure that is entirely true for Anne. I think we don't give her enough credit for being a voice of reason when she voiced her concerns against the dissolution of monasteries, when she paid for monks herself that had lost their homes. We don't have that portrayal of Anne in any shows. We just want people to know that she was power hungry. Here they're just gloating and thinking that, yes, you want to go down, you want to have your victory, you want, to show that you won, really. And here it is. She holds his hand. That's the moment where we're saying Thomas Cromwell and Anne Boleyn are on the same side. It's crazy to think that after that, like, it's almost like she misunderstood what was going on, that there's no being in the same side as Thomas Cromwell, because Thomas Cromwell is on the same side as Henry VIII, whatever happens. And so if Henry VIII turns on Anne Boleyn, Thomas Cromwell turns on Anne Boleyn, right? Maybe kind of like there's this friendship, but there's also like this, she's bold enough to hold his hand. And all the things about her being a seductress, her being so attractive, her having, I think they're playing on this a little. That is quite mild and that's quite subtle. I still think that is not close to the real Anne Boleyn, though I obviously wasn't there with her. But that, of my understanding of Anne Boleyn. After that, they just walk together, and that is the end of the scene. They're just walking and having their victory. the fact that they hold hands show that obviously it was their victory together. And obviously Thomas More shows respect to Anne Boleyn, who then both passed to the king. It is a very powerful scene because then Henry VIII takes the hand of Anne Boleyn, and that's the end of the scene. That scene is very important, I think, to understand the power dynamic between Anne Boleyn and Cromwell. I think that it shows tensions, but also attraction, the fact that she understood him. The thing that I don't like is the fact that we almost put them at the same level of... I think Cromwell was someone who was way more manipulative than Anne, and I don't think that Anne was the power hungry that people love to portray. Let me know in the comments of what you think about this scene, and what are your thoughts about this relationship before everything goes down, really. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!